everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Buttercup Skincare Podcast. I am your host, Noxolo Sokweba, and today I have a special guest, Jessica Mgidi. Jessica is a certified coach, a public speaker, and an associate general accountant. She's also the founder of Ignite a Dream, a initiative that supports young girls with mentorship and basic education resources. Today, we chat to Jessica about passion and purpose. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Notolo.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Awesome.
It's lovely to have you here today.
It's exciting to be here.
Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for selecting me to be one of your guests. I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. So, you are a lady who wears many hats. Like I just read your bio, you are a certified coach, an accountant. You're also a public speaker. How do you juggle everything?
I get that question a lot. And sometimes I think it's something that I've inherently been doing since a very young age. I remember, and this is not a good thing, but I remember in primary school, I got these hectic migraines and they took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, this child is doing too much at grade 6.
No
she's
way.
into her academics and she's doing sport and so forth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has never stopped since
Yes.
then. I don't know how to do one thing. I've never been able to just do one thing. In high school, I was the all-rounder at my high school when I was leaving in my matric year. And when I started working as well, I can't just have myself in one thing. I think for me, it's as human beings, we're multifaceted.
Yes.
And I want to tap into all the best versions of myself because I don't think I'm here to be only one version of myself. And honestly, the best way that I manage it is my diary.
Okay.
If it's not in my diary, it's probably not happening. Like genuinely, I schedule dates with friends, dates with my partner. They're all in my diary because I have to get a picture of everything. So when I look at my week, I'm like, what's happening this week? Where are my different commitments? And also that's how I can see, do I have capacity? Do I not have capacity? I'm also learning in this and consistently is to listen to yourself, your body, all of those elements as and when you commit to different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
As early as grade 6.
Yeah.
Sure. Has it ever then, the business after that ever became sort of taken a toll on your body or on your mental health? I mean, that's very early.
Definitely, it has.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, I think in 2020, when we were in COVID and so forth, my therapist, I think it was 2021, but my therapist had given me she's got all these different little toys, ornament things in her office. And she had given me one of a stop sign. She was like, I want you to put this at your desk and I want you to remember to stop. And it's something that we consistently do talk about. Somebody that you hear, I'll make reference to therapy and so forth because these are all the things that for me are support structures in how I'm able to actually show up as my best self in the different areas of my life. So sometimes I do, and that's why I believe in certain things. So I'll do solo trips because I believe in retrieving and stepping back as somebody who all the different areas of my life require me to give. And it's an energy giving, whether I am on stage as a public speaker, whether I'm coaching somebody or a group of audience that I'm coaching, whether I am lecturing accounting students, it's giving. It's an energy giving exercise and you run empty. So really to it, you need to fill up your own cup. And very often I fill up my cup by stepping away and saying, okay, I'm doing a solo retreat or a solo weekend away, or sometimes just a solo date or solo day by myself, away from everything else, not being committed to others, but also committing to myself. But I'm not going to lie, it is a challenge, especially when it has become so ingrained, as I said to you, how early it has. I almost don't know a life of not being involved in multiple things. I think the most quiet of a year that I probably had was last year. But I know from externally, people would not think that.
Yes.
But for me, last year was a challenging year professionally, and the work environment, when you're not in a great work environment, the work environment was so consuming that I was not able to tap into my other passion areas of my life. Until I think the second half of the year, then I was like, no, man, I can't, because my light is not shining as the way I'm used to my light shining. Yeah.
And the quiet here, was it intentional that it was more quiet?
No, it wasn't intentional at all. As I said, it was based on the environment I was in, that it was mentally consuming so much of me that I didn't have that capacity to just be involved in the things that I enjoyed. I was to an extent, in Toastmasters, I still took up a leadership role. And that's why I say towards the second half of the year, I then came back into myself and my public speaking spaces and taking up MC opportunities. But in the first half of the year, it was almost, because when you get a new job, you're like, let me adjust and get used to it and all of that. But it wasn't just that adjusting. It became the environment that I was in, because it was quite toxic. And for the first time, I know we use this word loosely, I felt a toxic work environment. And so it just didn't allow me the space to think about Ignite a Dream, to think about public speaking, until I had to realize I'm losing myself in this, because I don't recognize a Jessica without all these other facets of who she is.
What did it take to change the environment? What is that thing that happened and you were like, you know what, I choose Jessica?
Listening to your intuition. So intuition is such a powerful gift that we've been given, and very often we don't tune into it sufficiently. So when I went for the interview for this particular job that I had gone to, the day I went to the interview, I remember getting out of it, and my partner wanted us to go celebrate this interview that I'd gone to, because it's like, I know you killed it. And my mood was just not there. It wasn't in celebratory mode. And I remember he asked me, what's wrong, And I immediately said to him, there's an energy about the person who I'm going to be reporting to, because I was interviewed by my direct line manager as well as the HR person.
Okay.
And I said, there's something. Something is just not right. It's as if I can still feel that intuition and listening to it. But we get into desperate parts of our lives, and then we still jump in and we take the opportunity. And I knew instantly within the first 3 months, I was like, no. I was like, this is not it. This is not it. And a couple of things, I knew it within the first 3 months. Within the first 6 months, I was ready to almost just leave immediately. Things happened and I stayed, but ultimately I had made the decision. The big changing point was the passing of my grandmother. So in August of last year, I lost my grandmother. It's like I came back a new person. I came back a new person in the week that I was assisting in the preparations for her send-off. I often say I grew 10 years. Like in that week, it just, life unraveled, and I grew so much that I never expected, You hear these things often, but I felt it about the firstborn daughter, the firstborn granddaughter, and that was me. And that week, it was something. And I came back, and I remember being with my therapist, and it's like certainty had just come. There was clarity. There was this real knowing, and I believed at the time. And I remember saying to her that my ancestors and God want so much more for me. My grandmother has not gone to be an angel guiding me for me to be suffering like this. I was like, there's no ways.
Oh, wow.
And I just knew instantly. She said, and she even said, that sometimes it takes that when death happens to somebody, that they get this instant clarity of life is too short, and I don't believe I was meant to suffer. And I think at that point in time, the decision was made. I had made the decision that this year will be it. I will not go into
Yes.
2025 into another year in
Yeah.
that space or that environment. And then I had to trust.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big believer in trusting God and trusting the universe and trusting my ancestors to, they've always come through for me. And that's where even the intuition, listening to your own spiritual ears as they unfold, has been a significant thing for me in moving from that and to back into a more purposeful place that I'm in right now.
Yeah. It's interesting that sometimes it takes the most hardest thing to get us back in the right track.
Definitely.
Right?
Unfortunately so.
Yes. Because I mean, with me, it had to be when I struggled with burnout. And it's unfortunate, but I guess these things happen for a reason.
It's unfortunate. We learn by experience.
Yes.
Tough experiences at times.
Absolutely. And I mean, also with the work environment, I always say that, yes, it's not a pleasant place, but you always take out lessons from that. So what are some of the lessons that you've carried with you from that environment?
So the first one is the one that I already spoke about. My first lesson is listen to your intuition. When intuition speaks, there's something. Don't ignore the red flags. And I think for now, for the first time, I trust myself in what I see.
Okay.
Because again, I don't just think I see with my natural eye. There's a spiritual eye that allows you to also see things, and that comes with how you feel in certain situations. And also realizing that to succeed, one doesn't have to suffer.
Sure.
Because a lot of the time, and I mean, for us, you've been through it, and articles was tough, and this and
everything was tough.
The whole thing of your whole qualification was tough.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no, guys, at some point you need to make the decision that life is going to be good and life is going to be fulfilling. And life should not be defined by struggle. And I think some of us, depending on the professions and paths we've become so accustomed to everything is a fight, is a fight. Yeah. And I'm just like, no, so we're going to fight until when, there needs to be a full stop to this fighting.
Yeah.
And again, as women, we've become so prone to carrying weight and carrying fights and all that. And I was just like, no.
It has to stop.
It has to stop at some point or another. It is.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw you, it was at a women's event hosted by Abasa. And the first thing besides your beauty was, oh my gosh, this lady is so well spoken. I was like, I want to speak like her. Yeah. Where did the passion for public speaking come from? Were you one of those girls, high school, primary school, we in the debate team, we're doing public speaking?
Yeah. So I was in primary school. I was involved in, and I did this in Afrikaans. I don't know what they call it in English, so I'm going to say it the way.
Yes, please.
I did dramatisere poëzie. Okay. So it's almost like monologues and stuff like that on stage. Okay. And I did them in Afrikaans back then because I am fluent in Afrikaans. Yes. And I suppose that's where it started, where I was not scared of the stage, essentially. And then, unfortunately, in my high school, there was no public speaking or debating at the time.
Yeah.
Now there is, now that I'm gone. I was like, wow, guys.
Was it you who wrote a review? Please.
Not even. No, I just happened to see it over the years because you follow, obviously, your old high school. Yes. But I'm very glad. I was like, I'm so glad. And they're doing so well in their debating. But so I was never really, I know in primary school, I did a bit of debating because there was one competition and my English teacher just put together a group of girls and we're going to do this. And we went quite far in doing that. But yeah, in high school, there was never really anything else. I stuck to I played chess and I stuck to my academics.
Nice.
And then I went to varsity. But I think it's something I always knew is in there.
Yeah.
My own coach usually says that life leaves you breadcrumbs.
Oh, wow.
And I do think that life left me breadcrumbs in different parts. Yeah. So I got to university, and in university, I think what really built the confidence of it is that I took up a lot of leadership roles.
Okay.
I was the head of the accounting society. I ended up being on the TS TSR, which was the Temporary Student Council at the time, TSC, that we had at the time because we didn't have an SRC. So in all of those roles, I had to stand in front of my class and tell them, hey, we are hosting this event, please come through. I had to go and do proposals at audit firms to come and sponsor us in those events. So all of those were really skills that I was learning, and part of that was skills to speak, because as the chairperson of the organization, you had to lead through it when everybody else is too scared to speak and propose and all of that. And so I think that's how it started fostering. And then when I went to do my articles at what's now called Forvis and Mazars, or Forvis Mazars, I again took up leadership roles quite instantly, wanting to be part of what we had as the clerks committee at the time. Similar thing, clerks committee, trying to get the buy-in of the clerks or the trainees themselves, going to the partners and saying, we want to do ABC. And that's how it just kind of started building up. And I remember once having a speaker at university, and that's why I say life leaves you breadcrumbs. And he came through, it's Tabo, the coach.
Oh,
and a lot of people know.
I know Tabo.
So Tabo came to speak to us. At the time, we were still working at AG. And he came to speak to us. And I remember when Tabo was done speaking, I said, the way I feel right now is how I want to make young people feel one day. And I kept that, when you just whisper to God and you just keep it. And I remember taking Tabo's business card, which I still have from then. And I kept it in my purse. And that's how I think I knew. Yes, I knew already. I was studying accounting. This is the path that I'm in, because I always liked accounting and loved accounting. But there was something more. There was really something more. And so held on to that when I got to the, to articles and starting to work. Any opportunity for me to speak and MC, I started taking it up. And then post articles, when I stayed on as an audit senior, when I had heard about this thing called Toastmasters, that's when I was like, I know I'm good at this and I'm comfortable doing it, which I was very surprised to find out that public speaking is the second biggest fear in the world. I didn't realize that. So many people, when something comes naturally to you, you don't realize that everybody else is very scared of doing that.
You can't imagine how,
right? But over time, I've come to see it through Toastmasters, where people start off very scared and they come out of their shells themselves. So that's essentially how the journey, and then to the point where I said, I really want to take this seriously. Me joining Toastmasters, I knew that I want to add credibility to a skill that might come naturally. I don't want to say I'm just good at that. I want to say I'm good at it, but I am in a space, in an organization that also gives validity and credibility to this thing that I'm doing. Because now in Toastmasters, you get evaluated on your speeches and all of that. And you grow, because it's a learning pathway that you essentially need to do. And from that, I just kept on. And then I said, I really enjoy this. And I remember taking the decision to actively put myself out there, like events, whenever events are coming up and I'm part of the leadership of that event, I put my hand up and say that I want to MC this, I want to take part of this. And the first big space that I MC'd was the Abasa 2022 Women's National Conference.
Oh, nice.
And in that year, I started having this thing where I said to myself, I called it leaning into fear. So even if I'm scared, I would still say yes to the opportunity. I was so frightened. But I was like, we are going to do this. And it's amazing when you do have a gift like that, because what you're saying, where you saw me for the first time was literally when my grand passed away. It was in the planning period for that event.
Really?
And I almost had to just I let go. I was like, Mokgabo and team, please, I'll see you guys when I come back. And it was my first public event, if I can call it that, from that time. It was weeks apart, if I'm not. I think it was in the mid-September, and I buried my gran beginning of September. So literally a week, 2 weeks interval. So I'm grateful that I was not showing what I'm going through.
Not at all. Not at all. I was like, I need to have her for my launch. This girl speaks so well. And I think what I'm hearing from you is intention, right? In order to discover your path, your purpose, you also need to be intentional about what you're seeking. And I
Very.
love the leaning into the fear, because sometimes we want to do things, but the fear is so great that it sort of cripples you and you're like, nope, I'll pass. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it becomes so true. The more you lean into fear, the more that thing where we say the grave is the place, or the graveyard is the place that we have most unfulfilled dreams.
Yeah.
That's literally it. You and I, am sure, know a number of people who are still in spaces where they're too scared to get out of those spaces, but they know it's not good for them. They know it's not fulfilling them. I am incredibly grateful that I've learned to lean into my fear from a young age, because often it happens, that's where you get these midlife crisis and stuff. It's like later in life, people wake up and like, but I've been doing this thing that I don't actually like. And this is what I've always wanted to do. And it is an incredible privilege as well to have that. I do not take it for granted how privileged I am in that I can make those decisions and choices in my life. And it also comes with the support that you essentially have, because not everybody has the support to then take those decisions that are purpose-driven decisions, decisions that are going to make your life more fulfilling. And I said at the time when I took a whole pivot in my career that rather now, when I don't have other responsibilities and commitments and so forth, let me take that pivot and see where it goes. And intentionality is so vitally important. So important. When I started my articles, I had not graduated my degree. So I was the only person in my in the intake, in the articles intake, because obviously there are those who already had CTA. There were those who were currently doing CTA. And there was Tuli, who had no degree at the time. So I transferred from tax, gone to UNISA. Whenever I shared this yesterday with the students I was coaching, it took me 8 years to get my undergrad degree. It's a story of resilience and just being determined with what you want, because I still wanted this. But within that, in knowing, I said to myself when I started articles that I will not show up little. I will not make myself little based on the fact that I don't have the qualification. On my work, everybody must be like, we're at the same level as the guys who already have CTA, who are now writing ITC and so forth. And I remember the partner that at the time, the partner was in charge of the trainees, the trainee partner. Yes. He had said to us quite profound words, and I remember I had written them in my room because I believe in the power of writing and visualization and so forth. And he had said one of the things was like, give yourself 6 months. Give yourself 6 months to adjust. You just come from university, it's your first job opportunity. He then also said, go above and beyond, which can be a tricky thing depending on how you take it. But I took that for me. And my above and beyond was, okay, I'm here to do articles, but best believe I'm not just going to be involved in audit. And I was involved in women empowerment, in the charity. So exactly, the 6-year-old comes back and is doing more. I was like, that's not a problem. I do above and beyond, like in my sleep, basically. And then his third thing was make friends. And so those were the 3 things that I went into articles, and I took them with me literally. And I said, give myself 6 months. And in every chapter that I step into, give yourself time to transition into that. Build relationships. When it comes to building friends, I mean, you can imagine 3 years of articles, you are with these people, minimum 40 hours. And we all know that's literally minimum. That's minimum. And also, you only grow by finding yourself, because I took that, and I know that with other people, they get to the end of their articles or even the end of the journey of qualifying, and they don't know who they actually are, because you're so focused on this, achieving this goal. You've never sat down to say, apart from this, who am I? And the beauty of me and my 8 years, every year of failure required me to sit down and ask myself that question. And by the time I finished articles, there was one thing I was certain of. I was like, I'm going to be successful in whatever I do. And my success was not leaning on me becoming a chartered accountant. That was a complete shift for me, in that I genuinely believe that who I am the gifts I've been given will be successful. And that's when also my definition of success changed, because a lot of us leaned into, when you come from certain backgrounds, this is what's going to get my family in a much better financial place and so forth, if I take the journey of becoming a CA and all of that. And now, for me, from the time I think from, even in my 20s, my definition of success is making a difference in one person's life.
Oh, I love
and
that.
My parents and I, at the time when I turned 21, we were not that close on an emotional level, if I can call it that. Parents know you from you're a good child and you do well in school and that kind of a thing. And I remember my parents, when I turned 21, gave me a citation, which I found so weird. I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
And in the citation, the last line that they wrote in it, they said something, I'm paraphrasing it, to the words of, whatever happens, we hope that you make a difference in the world. I remember reading them like, without me thinking my parents know me, my parents knew me, or they knew my spirit, essentially. And that's how over the years, it has just become be intentional. Really, really be intentional about what it is that you want to achieve. And I think from that article, I was already quite intentional about what it is that I want.
Yeah. Would you say the making a difference in one person's life is what inspired the coaching? Or how did the coaching come about?
I think it was part of it.
Okay.
The coaching came about with the breadcrumbs in my life. So when I was when I was now a senior at the organization, the audit firm I was working they had a women empowerment program or organization, which I was part of, because these are things that I really believe in, transformation and the empowerment of women. And through that, they then got a coach for a number of women who would put their hands up and say that they wanted to be coached.
Okay.
And this was the period of, I think, November 2020 to May 2021, that we could take up this coaching opportunity. And I remember in the first sessions that we had, my coach said, because we're in group coaching, I think there was like 4 to 6 in a group of women. And the one thing she said to me, she's like, you are a natural coach. Oktala, this is the first time I'm experiencing this coaching thing. So I'm not sure what, but she said those words. But I've already known at that time, at the point that I was an audit senior, I knew that people was my strength. People was the gift I've been given. And I'm saying that because when I went into my interview, again, be intentional. When I went into my interview to stay on for after articles, my mentor at the time, that's why I vouch, have a therapist, have a mentor, have a coach. Those 3 are a must-have. My mentor had said to me, we had a conversation as I was preparing for my interview, and my mentor said to me, Jess, tell them exactly what you want. I was like,
in the interview?
Yes. I was like,
wow.
Utini, I must tell them what?
Yeah.
Because what I want. But I leaned into my fear. And I told them exactly what I want. And at the time, what I wanted was, because I knew already, I knew that audit is not the forever for me. I had no plans to become a partner. I have no plans to become a partner. And I'm going to be honest, because so many people lie in those, like, yes, I want to be a partner. No.
Yes.
So I said to them that, yes, I want to stay on as an audit senior. However, I want my portfolio to be 60% audit, and I want 40% to be women empowerment and social responsibility, and to be the supervisor of the clerks committee. And then I said, of the 60%, I want my portfolio, because at the time I was very involved in attorney trusts, and I quite enjoy attorney trusts. It's the governance, it's black and white, it's right or wrong. And I said, I want, of the 60% of audit, I want 40% to be attorney trusts. And so, intentional, spoke it, said it, because I knew already from, the time that I was involved, that I'm really good with people. I'm good at creating relationships, maintaining relationships. And that's life leaving you breadcrumbs. The things that come easy to you, the things that you do almost in your sleep. That's life leaving you breadcrumbs already. And so when it was now time to, when I met this and my coach at the time, and she said this, I was like, it was coming together. And so they kept me on after this interview, and I said what I wanted. And afterwards I said to her, I told them. So now the beauty about that is they can't say they don't know.
Yes.
Nobody can say, oh, now you're going to a women empowerment event and be like, but I told you. Yeah. I told you this is the scope of what I want to be involved in. And similarly, when I left audit, none of the partners were shocked. In the space that I was going to, it was like, but
she's
she
leaning
did.
more to that side.
We saw this. We've always, and that's be true to yourself.
100%.
Be genuine, because I was genuine and authentic from day one. That every chapter and every move that I was making in my career and in my fulfillment came as a shock to nobody, because it's like, that's who she is. So I remember them wanting to have conversations about money. I was like, this money's got nothing to do with us, guys. Don't even open that chapter.
Yes.
So that's life. It does that. And I saw the impact of making a difference in people from the time I was in my articles.
Yeah.
COVID 2020, I would call my first year trainees and spend an hour a day with a different trainee, because I could not fathom learning and starting the journey of articles under those circumstances and that situation. Although I myself was not being taken care of at that time. It was my lowest. It's what led me back into therapy. Because I'm such a people person, that cut from people was very difficult for
Some
me.
of us thrived.
It's something. No physical
people.
touch, no interaction with people it was just me and my sister. My parents and the rest of my family went home to Mpumalanga. It was just me and my sister. She was in her matric year. It was a lot. And I didn't know that it was a lot until, again, certain things. I see pictures now of the time, and it was like, I'm looking at an empty shell. I can see myself in the picture, but I was like, the person was not there at that time. So you are intentional. And when you start seeing, like I did, what making a difference in people's lives means to those trainees, it was the world. Being called by an audit senior, not to ask for a working paper, not to ask for deadlines, just to genuinely check in on you as a person. And again, the coaching thing, I was doing it.
Yes.
I didn't have the certification. It wasn't called anything, but I was doing it for free, because that was, I don't know anything else, essentially. Naturally, that's what I know, is to check on people and make sure that people are okay.
I love the put it out there. Speak it and you will see it, right? And I practice that a lot. And I can say with every big opportunity I've gotten in my life, I always say at the beginning of the year, I'm like, Lord, I want this one. I want this job at this company, at this position. And for every job I've had, that's exactly something I have spoken. However, I think in order to be able to do the speaking, you also need to know the person inside. And I sometimes feel like we don't spend enough time with ourselves to understand what that is inside. So how do you get to a point for someone who's watching and they're like, I don't know what I like, what can I do in my sleep? Some people are talented, but I'm not one of those people. Like, how would you advise them to start on that sort of looking into themselves?
I'll go back to the three people that I said you should have in your life. Have a mentor, have a coach, and have a therapist.
Okay.
Because it's through the self-awareness of therapy that I've been doing. So I'm in therapy from the age of 21. I don't believe that therapy is something you go to in crisis mode. I believe that therapy is a consistency, especially as mental health. And I always use this example that your athletes and sportsmen, they go to people such as physios and all that to take care of their bodies, because their bodies are their assets. That's what brings them income. To those of us in the fields that we are in, our minds, our intellectuality is literally the asset that we've got. And I was like, how do you then not take care of that asset? And for me, taking care of that asset is consistently going to therapy. Whether it's once a month, whether it's every 2 months if life gets busy. But a year, 6 months, 3 months will not pass with me not going into that safe space I've created for myself. Of course, I'm privileged, and also privileged in the sense that I've got the same therapist since I was 21. Well, there was a period where we were on and not, where we didn't have each other, because I think I saw her for 21 until like 22, 23, and then disappeared, started working, blah, blah, blah. Then COVID hit, audit senior life hit. And I was fortunate to find her. So it was so easy that the things that now I was bringing to her, she already knows where this actually stems and where the bigger picture. And it's not just, this is a work thing, or like, and I find that sometimes that's just like removing or putting a Band-Aid over and not actually the problem that is there. But she could always go into the problem. So you really need to go into spaces, I almost want to say, that will force you into really knowing yourself better. Because self-awareness is the beginning of everything. It is the eye-opener of everything. To learn to listen to yourself, to your body, to whatever it is that you need in that space, is so, so vitally important. Because I can't just say to you, Nokolo, that go and spend time in nature with yourself. And when you don't know what to do when you get to that space and how to tune in into yourself, it won't necessarily come. So for me, it took the therapy element, the coaching element, where she asked the right questions that made me dive deep into that. Because you need somebody to ask the questions. You know this about yourself, but because you don't sit with it, you can't bring it out. And that's why it's difficult to self-bring it out in the beginning, So that's the spaces in which, for me, it really came out. Because through coaching, it was after my coaching that I've always had this dream of ignite a dream. But it took being coached by somebody to instantly, I was like, this is happening. Because we wait for the perfect time. Anisha, do I have enough money? Never going to exist. Just go. Just go. Just do it, and then uzobona phambili what's coming. And that's essentially what I did. But the break of not having fear, for me, came through coaching. And that's how I vouch for this. I've seen the transformation in my life. And if you are blessed enough and fortunate enough to have somebody who can walk that journey with you and open that element of yourself up. But that's why everything needs to work together, because let's not forget that we carry so much. Whether you like it or not, the fundamental years of us as children play such a huge role in the programming that we have and that we carry as adults. And when you don't spend time unpacking that, you will continue just carrying it, thinking this is who I am. And not realizing that, take a moment. I'm reacting to this situation because of this, or responding to this person because this is what it has done, or this is how it comes through. And that is the beauty, because I've seen it you can see it sometimes where somebody doesn't know who they are. They've carried the world and what the world says you ought to be, but it isn't yet at a you phase, at a you point. And I'm not going to, I'm still quite young, and I don't know it all, but in the journey and in that I've taken so far, for me, the self-awareness has most importantly came from having the right mentor, having the right therapist, having the right coach. And those relationships don't automatically happen instantly. So I always tell people, what I opened with tonight, listen to your intuition. When you meet a coach that you've been wanting and your intuition says no, walk away. When you meet a mentor and it's like the rapport, the energy is not there. Energy is everything. That vibration you feel, don't doubt it.
Even
if it doesn't feel right,
successful in what I want.
That's the thing, because that's the other mistake we make. I remember in university, there was a lady, and we had a great friendship relationship. And I was like, I want you to be my coach. I ran around that lady, ran after her for 2 years. Nothing came of it. And eventually you realize it's like, the season has to be right for both of us. That energy has to, and I'm somebody who genuinely believes in anointed appointments, that I will meet the right person at the right time as it's meant to be. And those individuals who have actively spoken into my life, that timing was genuinely what I believe was God's timing. Absolutely. It wasn't me. When you start making it you, and you are the one who wants to control it, you need to at some point just have faith, listen to your intuition, and if it doesn't feel right, because if you force it, it can do more damage than the good that it's actually meant to do.
Yeah, sure. Tell us about Ignite a Dream. How did that come about?
Ignite a Dream came about through, so I'm a very traditional girl. I'm Ndebele, raised in Ndebele in the Ndebele culture. And it came about by me going to initiation school. So I went to initiation school at the age of 15, going on 16, I think. And something didn't sit right with me with some of the conversations that the girls were having in our own private space as young maidens and so forth. And especially those who had already completed the journey. So what happens is you go to initiation school and you have essentially your initiators who have already passed this journey and you're supposed to learn from them. And in some of the things that they were saying, I was just like, no, this doesn't sound right to me. This doesn't make sense. Because, of course, at the time, I'm a virgin and so forth. And I remember then, some of the comments of saying like, yeah, but if your boyfriend wants to sleep with you, what else are you going to do? You have to sleep with them. And I was like, oh, hell no, that is not going to happen, But I realized they don't have the same ability to just say no. And walk away. There's so much that dependency. And I had to understand that I come from a different place, in as much as home is in KwaNdebele, I did not grow up in KwaNdebele. These girls are living in that situation day in and day out. And through that, all the other years, in 4 years after I was initiated, I consistently went back to initiate other girls. And if I was your initiator, when the other girls were there and they were telling the girls that are being initiated what I call nonsense about boys and all of that, I would then sit them down and be like, hey, you are a child. You're going to go back to school. You're going to finish school. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, you can achieve. And even in situations where the young girls did fall pregnant after initiation, it was like, this is not the end of your life. This should not be the end of your life. Yes, something has happened. The act itself was a mistake, not with the full intent. You have this blessing of a child. However, it's not the end. But I was witnessing it in KwaNdebele, where I come from. Girls' lives just sort of like end when they fall pregnant. And I witnessed the guys continuing their lives like nothing ever happened. They would still go and study and so forth. But it's like, the girls, they just ended, it ends. That's it, And for me, it was like, all I want is for people to realize the power of their own dreams. And also to have a dream. Because I realized that the girls I was going to initiation, their dreams were, if I can go on a date, Semi-Max Epitori, that was, and I was like, we're limiting our dreams so much. They don't see themselves owning their own car. They don't see themselves owning their own property. Their dreams are always dependent on a man or somebody else being there to carry it through. And that's how, for me, Ignite a Dream came about. It's like, in the same way that if I can just make a difference in one person's life, if I can ignite one dream, because I know the power of dreams and holding on to it, and of course being provided with the right tools to see those dreams through.
Sure. I love that. And I do think that environment has a lot to do with, like you said, like your childhood sort of shapes the person that you become. And I feel these girls, a lot of it is the environment they grew up in. And it's wonderful to have a mentor who is outside of the environment, who you can look to and say, she looks like me, she comes from here, therefore I can aspire to something greater than just what I see around me.
And that's why a lot of the, Nokolo, a lot of the programs or things that I started at a grade 6 level, at a primary level, because I realized that if you only step in once they are in high school, and because a lot of them are already going to initiation school in high school from your grade 9s, the influence has already creeped in. So you need to change that influence before that other one steps in to say, and this is where I think as well, people who are givers and change makers and so forth, also give yourself grace.
Okay.
You're not going to change everybody's life.
Yeah. And that's usually...
I know that's what we want. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
But you need to give yourself grace. Otherwise, it's going to take a big toll on you. You are not carrying everybody else's life.
Yeah.
You do your part, and there's something to be done by the other person.
Yes, absolutely.
Every relationship is two-way. You can come and give as much, but if that person is not being receptive and taking in, that's... So I've also had to learn that you want to make as much impact that you want to make, but that's why I'm comfortable. One person a day. Yeah. If it's my kindness that day that's made a difference,
I'm happy with that.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Sure. Would you say everything that you currently do aligns with your purpose? And are you on the journey towards your purpose? Do you feel like you've sort of figured it out?
I think everything that I do does align with my purpose.
Yeah.
I love speaking. I love having a mic in front of me. I love creating conversations with people, in that public speaking space.
Yeah.
I thrive off of that environment. And then in the space of coaching, I'm very blessed in the organization that I work for, is that there needs to be alignment of your values.
Yes.
So one of the things that I learned early on in my coaching when I was being coached was to discover what your values are. And that for me has been so critical in the spaces that I work, in the people that I engage with and so forth. It's like, if it doesn't align, then... And that's why I saw the place I was at last year, found out my values, the organization values, not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate that the organization I work for example, I'll tell you, the why of its existence in this organization is to break the cycle of poverty through education.
Oh, wow.
And, when they say that people stay people stay mostly for the vision, the mission.
Yes.
And that is what has completely connected me with Novalo Learning Center, is that with a mission like that and knowing my own value of what I see success as making a difference in one person's life, ultimately that speaks to itself.
Yeah.
And I knew when I pivoted out of audit to join Novalo that no questions asked. I can see that this makes a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And then it comes to something which is quite new that I'm currently doing, and I never thought I'd be a lecturer. But at the same time, I remember, and I mean, I just lecture part-time, but I found myself really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I started it last year, and it was the one thing that everything came together more in the second half of last year.
Okay.
When I started doing that, even as much as the work environment I was in was taking away, this was a space that I was finding myself being filled into, because there's nothing as amazing as imparting knowledge and seeing it land.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh my word.
Yes.
And again, for me, it was the beauty of, I may have left audit and that space, but I still like accounting. And now being a part-time lecturer in accounting allows me to still connect with that part of myself.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, it's there's multiple dots that can always be joined. My coach, and I saw it through her, and I'm just like, how remarkable, is a forensic auditor. She was a director in a firm, and high-profile individual. And then she left that. And she went into coaching full-time, leaving. You have made it. You are on Forbes 40, whatever, women and all of these things. She left it. And then, jiggy, 2 years later after the coaching, I'm not really full-time coaching anymore. She's a farmer. And I'm just like, this lady reinvents herself over and over.
Yeah.
And then jiggy, doing my MBA. And I was just like, through her, yes, we can be multiple versions of ourselves.
Yes.
You are not here I genuinely don't believe that you are here to just be one thing for the rest of your life, So that's how I do believe that in the current moment, because I also believe that life is fluid.
Yeah.
You know, I might not feel the same way now in 10 years' time. I probably did not feel it 10 years ago. Do you understand? And you need to just be open and welcoming to that. In my current state now, I do feel that everything that I do aligns with my purpose and what I am meant to do. If God foresees something else, then we will take it into that direction. But remember, I said, I believe in every version that I can be in, that I can be successful in what it requires at that time as well. And I learned this from my employer at Novalo, where she had said to me, and this stuck, I was like, and it's still, because I use the words over and over, that everything has a season.
Yes.
Literally, everything has a season. For things as small as this past week, I'm somebody who enjoys going to the gym. I've not been to the gym this week. And unfortunately, because it was not the season, I had so many other areas, and you need to be graceful to yourself to say, it's not the season, you know? Sadly, this month I lost my grandfather within less than a year of my grandmother, my grandfather. And so when I came back from his send off, I remember speaking to my partner. I was like, yo, I'm not going to make my minimum number of visits to the gym because, you know, we all have, I have Sanlam realities that I need to meet or whatever. Like, I'm not going to make the minimum. It's like, but that's okay, you know, because I've been out for a week and it's fine if you don't make it. You know, we put so much
gone through something.
We put so much unnecessary stress and pressure on ourselves because this is where people will normally ask work life and whatever balance. And that is not a 50-50 thing. That is right now, I need to show up in my work at this percentage, which would mean that in the gym, I'm going to show up 20%. And that's completely okay. Right now, I need to show up in this space. And that's how you need to navigate it. Because if you put pressure on yourself to say, everything needs to be at 100%, it can't. It can't. It's just the same as, and I'm not a mother, but even for mothers and what others have said to me is that, like, that's why when a mother has just given birth, she has to show up 100% in that phase of her life. It doesn't mean that her qualification, her work, or everything doesn't matter anymore. But then you see the shift when she gets back into work or in the corporate environment or so forth that, yes, I used to give my work 100%, but remember there's something else now. There's another version of me that has come up that also requires parts of me. When there's a crisis in the family, then you need to show up in that space. And hopefully, I pray that you are in a place where the work and other areas of your life can understand that this requires more of me. So for me, that's how I genuinely see purpose. And I think that there will be variations of me to come. And I look forward to, if God wants me to, and God willing, that I live up to, let's say 70. I don't know if I want to live that old, but let's say 70. That I can look back and say, geez, girl, you've done this, and you've been so many variations of yourself. And how beautiful to also show other young girls that, because I don't think they see that. I think they just see, oh, this person is a lawyer, I want to become a lawyer, that's it. It's beautiful now when you meet young women who, they are a personal trainer, but they're also a lawyer, but because there's different parts of you that you can feed into as well. Because I think we were so used to the versions of a woman now in our late years, especially like sort of millennials, where it was either you as a mother and you as a businesswoman. And now we are having, there's so much more for those who choose by choice not to become mothers, because that I've also had to learn as a woman, you aren't defined, and you shouldn't be defined by mothering necessarily. And the beauty of it is that you come up and now this person is a personal trainer, but they're an athlete, they're a runner, but they're still a lawyer or they're a judge. And just like, oh, what?
I can also
especially
do
Black
that.
women, you can be so many things, really. And that for me is beautiful, is that let somebody else see different variations that we perhaps didn't see. And that's not to say our mothers did the best they could with the knowledge that they had. Let's do the best we can with the knowledge that we have. And that's how it will go on.
Lastly, I want to ask, I see a lot of your work experience is around education. Are we intentional in that I want my employer to be in the education space?
Not at all. That was, Yeah, that was not an intentional thing. I remember my grandmother would ask me, because it's so difficult to explain to old people what you do. So when,
yes,
guys, how do you explain I'm an accountant? Like to my grandmother who did not go to school, explaining that was just, you know. And then when I started the coaching, I literally said to my grandmother, I'm a teacher, but like in a different way with abantu abadala. And I was trying to explain.
Yes.
And so I think, they say that it's a calling to be a teacher. And I've seen it with the instrumental teachers that I've had in my life, whether it's from a teacher, a lecturer, all these other people that I've said to you, a coach, a mentor. It's a version of teaching, essentially. And it was not intentional at all to be in the education space. Somebody this month, as we are in Women's Month, had said to me, excuse me, we're doing a thing and we want to get a quote from you as a woman in education. I was like, you are a woman in education? Like, this is...
Yeah.
Like, it's just like... And now with me lecturing as well, it's like, you are really a woman in education. And even the organization where I worked at last year is a higher learning institution.
Yes.
And it was not planned, hey? It really was not. But again, I do believe in the signs that life shows you and in the breadcrumbs. And I'm owning it right now in the space that I'm in. And I'm enjoying it because it's different ways of sharing knowledge. And for me, that's the power. The power is in the knowledge sharing.
Sure. I love that. Thank you so much for your time, Jessica.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, comment, and like. I will see you in the next one.